Hey man, let me break this to you in the rawest, most unforgiving truth you're probably not ready to hear, but need to. Most women aren't waiting around to help you heal, to build you back up, or to be the emotional rock while you're crawling through the mud. They may love the idea of loyalty, they may speak of support, but when the storm hits your life, when you start bleeding, when your vision dims, when your grip loosens, that's when you'll see their true nature. Not during the highs, not when the money's flowing and your confidence is bulletproof. No, brother, you'll see her real character. The second you show weakness, the moment your kingdom starts to shake, and you'll realize that most of them aren't wired to love you through pain, they're wired to survive it, and often that survival means looking for a stronger branch to swing to while you're still falling. You'll be amazed how quickly admiration turns into apathy the moment life humbles you. The man who once inspired her, protected her, and made her feel secure suddenly becomes a burden, a reminder of her own fears and discomfort. She stops looking at you like a hero and starts treating you like a liability. The same man she praised for his ambition, his discipline, and his clarity now becomes a ghost of who he was, and in her eyes, that transformation is a betrayal. You were supposed to be the mountain, unshakable. You were supposed to lead, always. But now that you're staggering, she doesn't feel safe anymore. She doesn't feel turned on. And slowly, she begins to detach. Not always out of malice, not always with a plan, but because emotionally she's drifting toward anything or anyone who reminds her of the strength she no longer sees in you. And that's when it begins. Subtle at first. The late replies. The "I just need space." The emotional distance that grows wider even though you're trying harder. You'll feel her slipping. You'll feel her becoming colder, more critical, less patient. And it won't make sense because you're hurting and she knows it. You're fighting to get back up and she sees it. But none of that matters because in the back of her mind, she's already evaluating options. She might not admit it. She might not even realize it fully. But emotionally, she's looking for the exit, for the next secure source of attention, affection, protection. And in today's world, filled with Instagram DMs, dating apps, and orbiters waiting in the shadows, that new source is never more than a few taps away. And here's the brutal part. She'll justify it. Not openly, not out loud, but deep down. She'll convince herself she's not doing anything wrong. He changed. We grew apart. I just need to focus on me. Because female nature doesn't perceive betrayal the way men do. For men, loyalty is forged in struggle. For women, loyalty is often contingent on how you make her feel. And when those feelings shift, when the comfort fades, the admiration dies, the sense of security erodes, she feels released from that loyalty. She might mourn the connection, yes, but she won't feel bound by it. And that's the part that scars men the most. Because you were loyal through her moods, her chaos, her moments of irrationality. But the second you falter, she's gone. Not always physically, but emotionally. Checked out. You'll see it in her eyes, long before you hear it in her words. The warmth turns cold, the softness becomes sharp. Suddenly, the woman who once believed in your dreams starts questioning your every move. The one who used to brag about you now avoids bringing you up. She's not proud anymore. She's not inspired anymore. And as much as it hurts, you need to understand this. That shift didn't come out of nowhere. It came the moment you stopped being the man she admired. The moment struggle began to overshadow your strength. And this is where men either break or evolve. Because it's in that betrayal, in that abandonment, in that dark hour where you're left with nothing but your name and your will, that you must decide, will you become bitter or will you become better? See, most men think love is built through consistency, through shared memories, sacrifices, time invested. But what women often seek isn't consistency. It's emotional security, the kind of security that feels like strength, even if it's just a performance. When that feeling breaks, when she sees you hesitate, lose confidence, second guess your moves, that's when her hypergamy kicks in. Not because she's evil, but because evolution has wired her to survive, not to nurture wounded warriors. And in today's culture, where every man with a phone and a filter is posturing online, she doesn't need to stick around and help you rebuild. She just needs to scroll until she finds someone who seems, at least in that moment, stronger than you. And that's the danger. You're being compared not to real men, but to highlight reels of illusions. That's why the worst pain isn't the breakup, it's the replacement, the speed at which she moves on, the way she smiles with another man like you never existed, and you sit there, struggling to breathe, wondering if any of it was ever real. Here's the truth, it was real to a point. It was real until it stopped serving her emotionally, until your struggle reminded her too much of her own fears, her own instability. Women don't fall out of love because you failed. They fall out of love because your failure made them feel unsafe, and that's a bitter truth to swallow, but it will free you. It will break the chains of illusion and force you to rebuild your strength, not for her, but for you. When a man struggles, he becomes more compassionate, more grounded, more focused. But when a woman sees that struggle without the filter of strength, she doesn't view it as growth. She views it as decay. She doesn't feel emotionally safe anymore, and that triggers her instincts to seek better. And this doesn't mean you should hide your pain or fake perfection. It means you must never let your identity be crushed by temporary circumstances, because to her, who you are is who you are under pressure. And if that image collapses, even for a moment, she's already reimagining life without you, not necessarily to hurt you, but to preserve herself, to feel powerful again. And yet here's the paradox. If you chase her, beg her, try to explain your pain, she'll lose even more respect. Because in that moment, she doesn't want your honesty, she wants your certainty. You could pour your heart out, show her your wounds, your efforts, your fight to stay afloat, and she'll nod. She'll say she understands, but deep down, she'll be turned off. Because in the female psyche, masculinity is attractive when it's immovable, when it stands like stone in the middle of the storm. If your strength is shaken, even for good reason, it breaks the fantasy. The illusion of protection dies, and in a world where women are encouraged to chase feelings over facts, fantasy often holds more weight than reality. So what do? You rebuild in silence. You rise without announcement. You become the kind of man who never depends on emotional validation to feel whole. And if she left you during your struggle, let her. Because any woman who only wanted you at your best doesn't deserve a front row seat to your comeback. The comeback that will be quieter but stronger, colder but clearer. The one where you stop apologizing for being human and start commanding your space again. Not with anger, but with presence. Because the second you stopped being her emotional high, she started scouting for a replacement. So now it's your turn to stop being her safety net and become your own damn hero. Brother, you have to understand that female loyalty is rarely tested when things are good. It's revealed when things are bad. That's the line they never say out loud, but every man learns it the hard way. When the money runs dry, when your confidence takes a hit, when you stop being the guy who has all the answers and become the man searching for a few, that's when she either becomes your piece or your lesson. And most of the time, she becomes the lesson. You'll watch as her words no longer match her actions, as her energy fades, as her attention starts shifting, and the hardest part, you'll still be fighting for her while she's already halfway gone. Because in her mind, your struggle is a forecast, not a season, but a future. And she doesn't want to bet on a sinking ship. She wants to jump before the water touches her feet. You might think you're building something permanent, but she's often just leasing your strength, renting your energy, and the moment that energy dims, she returns the keys. The man who once made her feel safe becomes the man who reminds her of insecurity. And you'll sit there wondering how she changed so fast. She didn't. You just never saw how conditional her connection truly was. And this isn't to vilify her, it's to wake you up. So many men give everything to a woman, thinking she'll stay because of how much he gave. But in her world, what matters most is how he makes her feel right now. Not last year, not yesterday, now. And if your struggle shifts that feeling even slightly, her heart drifts, slowly, then all at once. Here's the dangerous illusion. Women will say they want vulnerability, that they love seeing a man open up, but most can't handle the weight of it. Not when it threatens the image of you they've built in their head, not when your pain disrupts their comfort. They want emotional expression, but only when it's wrapped in power. The moment it turns into dependency, into fear, into doubt, they recoil, because now they feel like the man. And if she's the man in the relationship, her attraction dies. She might care about you as a human, but that spark that made her submit, that admiration, it's gone, replaced with a kind of cold sympathy, And sympathy doesn't breed desire, it buries it. So you need to stop expecting her to be your savior. She won't be, and that's okay. Because the truth is, your struggle is your forge, the place where all illusions are burned off, where you meet yourself in the raw. And if she leaves during that process, good. She's not your loss, she's your clarity. She showed you she was only there for the high points, not for the grind, not for the rebuild. And the kind of woman who only wants you when you're glowing, she'll never last in the trenches. She'll never respect the war you fought to become who you are. She'll just show up for the parade, not the battle. And you need a woman who respects the battle. Don't chase her, don't explain, don't try to make her see. Just focus on becoming so solid, so grounded, that her absence stops feeling like pain and starts feeling like peace. Because you'll realize that you were doing all the heavy lifting, that her love was light until you needed something weighty. And when the next chapter of your life begins, when you rise again, she might come back, pretending she never left, acting like she missed you. But deep down, you'll remember. You'll remember who walked away when you stumbled. And no matter how beautiful her apology sounds, no matter how soft her voice becomes, you'll know this. If she couldn't walk with you through the storm, she doesn't deserve to dance with you in the sun. It's wild how quickly women can switch roles from partner to stranger, from supporter to spectator. The moment life takes the smallest turn against you, she begins to evaluate her options, not out of hate, but out of internal panic, and society will never blame her for it. In fact, it will justify her actions. It will say, she deserves to be happy, without asking what you deserved while you were bleeding silently to keep her comfortable. The truth is, women are trained to chase comfort over commitment. They will follow the feeling of safety, even if it leads them into the arms of another man. It's not about who you are, it's about what you represent in that moment. And when that image cracks, when your armor slips even slightly, her eyes wander, her heart detaches. And you'll learn too late that her love had a back door the entire time. It's during your struggle that the masks fall, that you see who was there for the ride and who was there for the destination. Because when things go dark, two types of women appear, those who hold the flashlight and those who vanish into the shadows. And the ones who vanish will often pretend it was you who changed. They'll say you became too distant, too heavy, too different. What they're really saying is, you stopped giving me what I needed emotionally, and I didn't know how to sit in the discomfort of that. But life isn't always highs. Sometimes you hit walls. Sometimes you fall. And if she wasn't built to walk beside you then, she was never yours to begin with. She was with your position, not your person. And the moment your position weakened, so did her connection. Here's a hard truth. Every man must learn you are most attractive when you need nothing. When your cup is full. When your life is solid, with or without her. But when you lean on her for support, especially emotional support, her respect diminishes fast. You become less of a mystery, less of a pillar, and more of a puzzle she doesn't want to solve. And it's unfair, sure, but it's reality. She might say she wants to help, but if that help turns into burden, she'll start resenting you for needing her. That's why the strongest men often suffer alone, because they know what neediness does to desire. So instead of unloading their pain on her, they turn inward. They build in silence, they evolve in solitude, and when they emerge better, bolder, harder to replace, she watches from the sidelines, realizing she abandoned something that wasn't broken, just becoming. When you struggle, you get the rare opportunity to see a woman's true nature, not the one filtered through affection and attraction, but the one that shows up when there's nothing to gain. You'll notice the shift in tone, the decrease in interest, the distance that creeps in like smoke under a door. It won't be loud, it'll be subtle. Missed calls, delayed replies, less eye contact, more criticism. And if you call her out, she'll gaslight you. Say it's all in your head, but it's not. It's just the early stages of emotional exit. She's already halfway out, testing the waters elsewhere, looking for that next surge of dopamine. And all while you're trying to stabilize your world, she's silently preparing to enter someone else's. But here's the flip side, and it's powerful. The moment you realize she left when you needed her most, that's the moment you become untouchable. Because pain, when channeled correctly, forges unshakable men. Men who no longer get swayed by pretty words or temporary loyalty. Men who've walked through betrayal and came out colder, but clearer. The kind of man who no longer begs for company, but attracts loyalty through strength, not desperation. And the next time a woman enters your life, she won't find a boy looking for comfort. She'll find a man who demands respect, a man who doesn't flinch when she tests him, a man who knows that love without loyalty is manipulation wearing perfume. And that kind of man, he never loses again, not because he avoids love, but because he commands it. When a woman leaves during your struggle, it's not just abandonment, it's a revelation. She's showing you how little your foundation with her was worth, not to her, but to the truth. A woman who dips at the first sign of trouble would have dipped later anyway. The struggle didn't scare her, it exposed her, exposed how she wasn't built for the long haul, exposed how the love she claimed to have had, no endurance, no grit, no loyalty beneath its surface. And when you heal from that, when you rise again, your eyes change. You stop believing in words, you start watching behavior, you stop chasing affection, you start rewarding consistency. And suddenly, you're no longer the broken man she left behind. You're the refined man her replacement will never measure up to. Every man must understand that women are biologically drawn to strength, not just physical, but psychological. And when you struggle, when you falter, they instinctively look for signs that you've still got inner control. If you panic, break down, spiral into emotional chaos, they don't feel safe, not because they hate you, but because they can't lean on you. It's wired into them. They crave the storm, but only if you're the calm in the middle of it. The second you become the storm, they retreat, because she doesn't want to mother you. She doesn't want to be the backbone of the relationship. That's your job. So the minute she feels she has to carry your weight, the dynamic flips, and so does her attraction. But here's what she'll never expect, that the man she left when he was down will become the man she can't access when he's up. That the man who once texted paragraphs is now sending silence. That the man who once gave her the world has now built his own, and she's not invited. And that will haunt her, not because she still loves you, but because she underestimated what you'd become without her. Women remember who they left behind when life humbles them. When the new guy fails to match your depth, when the attention fades, when her games no longer yield the results they once did. And that's when she scrolls through your social media, heart heavy, realizing she lost a man who was still building when she quit on him. Never forget, your struggle is a filter. It removes the ones who aren't meant to walk with you. It exposes who loves the idea of you versus who respects the process of you. And you need that. You need the pain to burn off the illusions, because a man who has never been left during hardship is a man who still believes everyone will stay. And that belief will keep him soft, keep him open to betrayal. But a man who's been abandoned, who's been thrown aside during his darkest hours, that man becomes bulletproof. He walks with quiet confidence, he speaks with unshakable clarity, and he no longer waits to be chosen, he chooses. So let her go. Let her run to the next man she thinks will never struggle. Let her chase the fantasy of effortless love. And while she's doing that, you build. Not out of spite, but out of purpose. Because the man who survives heartbreak with integrity becomes the man no woman can break again. You'll love again, but from a higher place. You'll give again, but with standards. And next time a woman enters your life, she'll find a man who doesn't flinch when tested, doesn't fold when challenged, and doesn't need her to stay. Because now you know the truth. The second you struggle, the wrong one leaves, but the right one, she stays, she builds, she believes. And until you find her, stay focused, stay grounded, stay dangerous.